You have your fear, which might become reality. And you have Godzilla, which is reality.
I'm sick of Godzilla.
Wake up, everyone!
There are two things you don't know about the Earth. One is me, and the other is Godzilla.
We're safe now. No human being can understand that. The monsters on Monster Island can understand it.
Whether he returns or not, or is never again seen by human eyes, the things he has taught us remain.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back, YHS on Monster Island, and we've had a couple weeks to just chill, because holy shit, G-Fest, Comic-Con, there's been too much. I'm kind of glad it's been a light 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. It's just been chill. Jay, how are you recuperating?
I'm doing good. I don't know if my wallet's recuperated yet, but we're
not mine.
I know, right? And I didn't even have any, Kraken-sized purchases, over the last couple of weeks. Well, maybe one. But we'll talk about that later. But
yes, you fucking did. You got it.
I forgot. But I'm excited that we're, going back, talking about a movie that, most people don't know exists. Well, I shouldn't say that.
Good.
And there's a lot of people in the kaiju world that absolutely knows it exists, but it's not one that's probably in a lot of people's, when they are introduced to the kaiju genre, it's not in their first 1, 2, 3, 4 films, 500 films that they watch.
Nobody's putting it on their list of you're watching kaiju films. Here, watch this.
Exactly, 100%. And so I'm excited to talk about that, and a movie that we have yet to discuss what we think about it, and I'm excited to our listeners will get to hear that right out of the gate. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Dude, speaking of Kraken purchases, friend of the show, friend in real life, Ryan Wilhelm messaged me. And he works. He's down there by you somewhere, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he works at a Dallas Vintage Toys, which is a mega shop. It is by far the best vintage toy store in the North Texas area. And I don't even know if there's a close second. It's pretty impressive, and they have a wide array of everything. And he's such a cool dude. Yeah,
I see him post pictures all the time, and I'm just like, I'm glad I don't live by this place. But he messaged me after our last episode because I talked about how at Comic-Con somebody had the vintage Kraken. And they got one in their store. And he's like, "Hey man, you still need that Kraken? I got it." And he's like, "Hey, we do layaway." And I'm just like, "Oh." I was like, "I'm still layawaying my other Kraken." I was like, "Let me pay this Kraken off, and then we'll see if they still got it. We'll see." But I just think I think I need double Krakens.
Oh, of course, maybe even more. And I hate how Ryan positioned that, because it's, do you need it? Well, of course you need it.
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to buy it right now? It's probably the more accurate thing.
Exactly.
No, Ryan's awesome, and I like, because he will be on the lookout. And if let's say somebody buys it tomorrow, the next one that comes in, you'll be the first one that he reaches out to, because he's such a cool dude.
Yep, for sure. Thanks for reaching out, Ryan. Boy, light Godzilla week. I think there's not a ton. There's not a ton of news out. No. I will say that I don't know if you saw this today, or was it yesterday? They did announce that Shin Ultraman is getting a release. And they said it's getting an international release, but that's about all the news you got from it. There wasn't dates. We don't know when or where or how or anything, but
100%.
It is coming, and I figured there would be some sort of, at some point, we would get to see this movie. And I'll be very excited to get to see it in a theater and not have to wait for Blu-ray.
100%, and I it's like news that there's going to be more news eventually, right? And it's a lot, 35 countries or something. But it's I'm really excited, and the fact that I'm sure if they do a release, Atlanta will absolutely probably be one of the cities that gets it. Dallas, but I mean Dallas, I'm hoping with the huge anime with Funimation here and stuff, the anime community here, I'm hoping that will be enough to convince them that. Ultraman or Shin Ultraman gets a release here. So fingers are crossed. I feel pretty good. I'm glad I don't live in Cheyenne, Wyoming, which may not have the ability to get Shin Ultraman. So
I think I think so. There's I live pretty close to Tallahassee, Florida, and they're pretty good about getting stuff like that. And I was actually, when Shin Godzilla came out, I saw that. I was actually like visiting my mom the week it came out, so I was able to see that at a theater down near her, and private screening. Only person in the theater for Shin Godzilla. It was amazing. I was like mad nobody was there. But I was also like, fuck that! I get a private screening of the new Godzilla movie.
100%. No, I would.
Awesome.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And my gut is that there might be some times with Shin Ultraman in certain cities that you might have some involuntary.
Sure, it's going to be the exact same. Yeah, it's going to be the exact same thing.
But I've heard I haven't read any reviews. I'm so proud of myself that I've done a really good job of staying pretty clean. There's been some.
Same.
I wouldn't call them like spoilers, but I've seen some things just like in passing, but I have not read. I'm just like, okay, that's obviously something that Kaiju is obviously in Shin Ultraman.
I've seen a couple screenshots, and I was there's only one thing that I think I saw that I think would have been a fun surprise to just see it in the movie, but I don't know anything about it or how it exists in the film, or I also have not read anything. So so I'm pretty spoiler free.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that because there's not a lot of movies that I would do that for. Like, it's too much work to stay spoiler free. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, I know you were mentioning toys earlier with the Kraken stuff.
Yeah.
Also, I have to mention, like, I really enjoyed. I actually got to see you, talk to you, hang out with you virtually, of course, on Tuesday on Toy Anxiety. Thank you for having me. We got to talk a little Sectars, a little Dino Riders, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It was so fun. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I loved it. And Craig of YHS Podcast, he called me after, and he's like, dude, Jay's insane. He's like, how does Jay know so much about so many toy lines that I've never heard of? He's like, he's just like, he's got encyclopedic knowledge. And I'm like, hey, that's why our show works, is because Jay's on it.
No. That's very nice, but you have to look at it this way. What I put in my brain about Sectars or Godzilla, I don't have any room I have to spend on Marvel, and I know just enough to be dangerous on on Star Wars and Marvel and Star Trek and these things like that. And you guys know that and don't even realize how much knowledge you guys have on the overall toy industry. So, I like to view myself as a specialist. So, if you have to talk about Sectars or Supernaturals or Battle Beasts, I'll be your guy. But But if you want to talk about Black Series Star Wars or whatever, I'm probably sitting there with twiddling my thumb. So everybody has the same.
Me too. I don't want to talk about the Star Wars. Yeah, dude, I appreciate it. It was fun. It was fun having you. It was fun having you on for sure. Jay, is there any other news that we should be talking about? I know Cavity Colors is releasing their new Godzilla collection. I think this coming Tuesday, and it's they're doing Godzilla vs. Destroya this time. Have not seen a full reveal of the shirts. There is the one image. There's one artist, I can't remember his name, but there's one artist they use and kind of do the main shirt with every time, and that artwork is great. But I don't think we've seen anything else yet. But other than that, man, I'm not sure as far as news what we got.
There's been a lot of like, I don't want to call them minor toy releases because I don't want to, devalue any people that love the brands. But there's been a lot of like, I wouldn't call it like earth-shattering releases, whether it's from CCP or Bandai, whoever. Like, and they've been great. I would say the biggest piece of news, and we don't have to run down all the items, but like the Godzilla Store just released a ton of new exclusives from Marusan. And so there's
some cool stuff.
There's some cool stuff. I would say that they did some re-releases. I have a new Biogoji to go after, Platinum Sparkle, so I'll be going after that one. But I would say it's a lot of the same sculpt, just with different variants and stuff. And I do believe, and somebody will keep me honest in the comments, or we can follow up on it, but I believe the artist that did the anime trilogy, Takashi Yoshizawa, I believe he painted one of the Heteras in that release. So that's kind of cool.
I like the Heteras. They're all. Yeah. I love there's like a pink Godzilla and Hetera that's coming out together.
Candy version,
those are very cool. Boy, some good stuff there. And I will say, there was a hold on. I just completely lost my train of thought. Oh, I don't know exactly when this episode's going to get up, but I'm pretty sure tomorrow, as of this recording, a friend of the show, Tom Whalen, is putting up some APs for sale, and he is going to be selling the Mondo exclusive, the Comic-Con exclusive Godzilla pins that he had. Yeah. And also, I think all 3 versions of his Godzilla vs. Biollante print are going to be up for sale, APs. But it's possible all of that might be sold out before you hear this episode. So it just depends on when this episode
so
gets
don't blame us.
But it's going out there. And that is stuff that you need. So
the Godzilla Tower pins and the Jet pin as well. Like I have a place for those Godzilla pins for the yellow and the red. He did the what did he do? The green.
He did a red, and then he just did kind of like a regular red.
So the red one I have right here, the actual Marmot. So I got to put that one next to it. So that's the one I'm definitely going to try to get. And his stuff's so good. So I'm but that's going to go really, 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 really fast.
It is. It's going to be gone. Another bit of news that I do not think we've talked about over here is there was a little bit of casting news for the Apple Plus Monsterverse show, which is so crazy. I feel so weird about. There you go. Snake Plissken is going to be in the Monsterverse show, which we're not even really sure what the show is going to be.
Just what we heard. The early stuff they released, which may or may not end up being the case, where it takes place after 2014, before 2019. And it's like the world with dealing with the Titans and things. So it's gonna be, we'll see.
But I like Kurt Russell. He's great. Yeah, I love him. I'm glad he's signing up. Kurt Russell and his son Wyatt. It's Wyatt, right? I think they're both going to be in it together. The thing leaves me feeling weird, and Jay, I want to know how you feel about this, is like, I love all Godzilla movies. I love them all. Even if I hate them, I love them.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm so excited. When 2014 came out, people were annoyed to know me in real life. I was so excited that was happening. There was such a good hype behind that. And I think that movie is amazing. I think 2014 Godzilla, Gareth Edwards' film, can proudly sit, among the ranks of the Godzilla. I think it's great. I think it's the best of the Monsterverse films. And you know what? Even though King of the Monsters didn't get very good reviews, the music in that, the fact that they used the one thing, my biggest complaint with 2014 was the music. I was like, there needs to be some actual some music here. And King of the Monsters had a ton of Easter eggs. They put the Mothra twins in it. They put the fucking Mothra song, and just that kind of stuff I loved. Godzilla vs. Kong was fun.
Very fun.
But I was so annoyed, and there's so many aspects of it that when I rewatch it, I have to fast forward through. The human characters in that movie are really hard to enjoy. But part of me is like, I'm so excited that I live in a world where, it's 2022 and we're getting all this American kaiju stuff.
For sure.
But also I'd rather Toho be making it. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like Shin Godzilla was like a fucking dude. I don't even know how to express the feeling of seeing Shin Godzilla for the first time, especially like, we kind of know what we're in for as far as every you've been watching Godzilla movies for your whole life. By the time you get to the end, you're like, well, if another Godzilla movie comes out, I pretty much know what I'm going to see, right? Yeah. And then you sit in the theater and you watch Shin Godzilla and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, turns it on its head,
But then it's like, cool, that's it. Now we're going to let the Americans have it for a while. And it's like, I love it. And I would never complain about more Godzilla, but I kind of want the ball to kick back over to Toho.
Yeah. And we talked about this, I think, in our episode a while back that we did, like, where do we go from here? Like, where does Godzilla go from here? And this was before any of the Apple Plus stuff was announced. It was, I think we had heard rumblings of like Son of Kong, I think was like it. I would like to see, I think we talked about the using like the Godzilla the Ride suit design and having just a good old classic Toho Godzilla movie. Maybe the part that makes it unique and different is that it's not unique and different from the older stuff, right? It's not, because we've had this good run of Shin Godzilla was so different and great. Singular Point was so different and great.
Yeah.
The anime trilogy, whatever. Let's get past that.
It's okay.
But they had really cool concepts in there, right? Like Godzilla Earth, very cool concept, right? Anyway, so I think like I would love to see a good Showa Heisei style Godzilla with a new design and maybe a little bit, we don't have to regurgitate and recycle Mothra and Rodan and King Ghidorah, like maybe a new Kaiju would be cool.
And it would also be cool to see something that was maybe structured and maybe written a little more similar to the older stuff, but with the updated,
of course,
everything that we have now, updated effects. It would still be cool to see, some man in suit and not have that completely be gone, but still updated, camera work, effects, whatever they want. But I'm just gonna get us. It's like we're just gonna get onto a tangent of a completely different.
What do you? I got a question. Like, what do you think about another? Like, real quick, because you mentioned the Kurt Russell casting, and like, do you think it's ultimately good or bad that like with they're putting a kind of a big stars? Is it going to be Kurt Russell's in a Godzilla show, or is it going to be a Godzilla show? Like, I always get nervous when movies and TV series where the focal point is, it's why I think Jurassic Park works, because Sam Neill, we know, not the common person on the street didn't know who Sam Neill was. If that would have been, Brad Pitt or whatever, I think it would have cheapened the film. Like, are we worried that Kurt Russell, as great as he is, as great as Jack Burton and Snake Plissken is, like, is it going to take away a little bit from Godzilla and have the focus be Kurt Russell? And is that going to detract from the mystique? I don't know. Like, I'm all for, like, let's see what it is, but I always get worried when there's a big A-list, like, Hall of Fame type star that gets in one of these properties where, they could overshadow it.
I understand that, but I also feel like, first of all, Kurt Russell is in some of the best movies of all time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's just great. He's just in some of the best movies of all time. Like, he's in The Thing.
Oh yeah.
That is one of the best horror films ever made. Like, he's done a lot of stuff. He's like a Quentin Tarantino's one of his guys, And it kind of excites me that he's in it, not just because it's Kurt Russell, but having an actor like Kurt Russell makes me think it would lean more on the little more realistic side of the writing and acting, like 2014, and less of the, like, the way that those characters act in Godzilla vs. Kong, especially, like, the kids and the guy who, I can't remember his name, but the guy who was like the conspiracy theorist. The
podcast.
Nobody talks like that. Nobody acts like that. They're like living cartoons, Yeah. And I do not see Kurt Russell being that. I see him maybe, and I mean, I could be wrong. Like, it's not up. I guess it's not really up to Kurt Russell. He's not the one writing the show and the dialogue, but his acting, and his stature and his performances, to me, feel like it brings a little more like realism to it and not the silly stuff.
Yeah, and he turned down being in the Expendables because he didn't like the script and didn't want to be in an ensemble cast. Like, I don't think he's taking everything. And I look at, like, he's like one of the best Santas of all time, and he plays that like way cooler than like. So I'm because it's Kurt Russell, I'm optimistic, but I always get nervous when there is when there's such a big star, because you just never know. But yeah, he has the acting chops to do a great performance.
I'm not saying that Kurt Russell can't be and hasn't been silly before.
Oh yeah,
I've seen Escape
Captain
from
Ron,
New York, but yeah, exactly.
Escape from LA
is the crazy one, yeah. But yeah, it just doesn't. I don't get that vibe. But I mean, we'll fucking see. I don't even know what this means. Do we even know if Godzilla is going to be in the show, or is it like? I feel like it's still a little confusing what the contracts were saying, and And I'm also still confused about what the movie's going to be, because for a while they were saying Son of Kong, but now it's just getting called Godzilla vs. Kong 2 because it's... But I'm like, are they just calling it that because it's the same director and we don't have an official title? Or is it just not... Like, what if Godzilla's not in any of this? You know what I mean?
Son of Kong versus Minya. I know, right? The movie... I know the movie and the TV show happening kind of at the same time is really cool and exciting, but you're right. Like, there's so much confusion. Like, maybe at the end of the day, it's like, it is just Son of Kong, and the movie, and the TV show is just like all the Monsterverse kind of newer Titans that aren't Toho properties, like, Methuselah, Behemoth, all those. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Godzilla was kind of an outlier of the show and his presence is felt, but maybe he's not in it a ton.
He's in the first episode and the last episode. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. And I mean, like, he might be in the first episode is just a flashback to the 2014 events, or the first episode might take place during the 20. You know, I'm getting too far into the like what.
But it's exciting.
There's
it's
zero information, but I don't know.
Hey, the big question is: do you expect a cameo, a surprise kaiju experience? Can't even talk. A surprise kaiju entrance cameo from Daigoro or Goliath? No, Tsuburaya is like, I'm not going to get rid of those awesome properties.
If they're smart, they'll put those in there. Well, let's move on. We'll move over to I guess we'll do pickups.
Yeah.
Jay, I'll go ahead and tell you, man, I got nothing. I got something on the way.
I know.
But it did not make it here in time. And you know what? It's probably a good thing that I don't have anything because you got something cool. So
I do. I have a couple things. I have actually two things that you haven't seen that just came in yesterday. So
surprises.
And actually really cool pieces. I'm very excited. Besides, of course, this amazing Snake Plissken, which I know is not kaiju, but it was designed by awesome indie Sofubi designer Kaiju One, and I bought this through Transmission Toys out in the UK.
Very
really cool. So staying on the indie front, I know you love the Nod Your Chin and Black Seed, and they do the Nozillas and the Ganoras and the Hanoras and all those. And I got this really cool variant of the Robo Nozilla, and it's kind of the 80s colors. He comes with this really cool little hoverboard there.
I didn't know he came with a hoverboard.
Oh, yeah, and he comes with a little tabletop arcade, and the actual screen is a 80s video game with him in it as the character. And he comes with other little accessories. I love this guy. And I just love the colors and stuff. And us of a certain age, that's our jam, right?
He sort of looks
the teals and the purple.
He looks a little RoboCop-ish, which I guess is on purpose. That's what they're. Yeah. It's great.
Robo Nozilla. So I got two new things. So this was originally released in 2012, but I got by Marmot, and I got the Metacom re-release from 2015. I just haven't been able to find the 2012 one. They look pretty much the same, so I'm cool with it. But it'll go in the same DTOF square as my Shobajin, as my Namakawa, as my Haru Nakajima, that just fits in there. And that is this guy from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla from Black Hole Planet number 3. I got me a Simian. Look at this guy.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah. I love this guy. And he looks really cool in there. Yeah.
Dude, that's so cool.
I know. Marmot M1 just kill it when it comes to obviously not human, but the non-kaiju
humanoid.
From the Godzilla franchise.
I love that so much.
They do really cool stuff. The other one was totally an impulse purchase. I was not that guy had been on my radar, right? Like I said, I'm like, I'll get it eventually. This one was not. This was a total impulse purchase. And I don't have anything from the manufacturer Gumi, right? Gumi's done a lot of really cool stuff. And I got this great Godzilla from Invasion of Astro Monster. It's glow in the dark, and he's doing the Shia dance. Look at this on a little stand here. Look at that guy. Yeah, I mean, he's gorgeous. I love this bright green. The glow is the glow in that you can tell the glow in the dark kind of coloring here, which will glow in the dark. It's amazing. It comes with this little base.
He's a beautiful seafoam turquoise.
He is. That is a great descriptor of it. But it's a great little piece. It looks good. I have him on a shelf next to some of my brightly colored,
tropical teal maybe.
I like tropical. Let's go tropical teal.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a custom color, Planet X teal. It's next to my Gilalas and a couple of other brightly colored figures.
Dude,
it looks great.
I got to get me a Gilala.
Oh yeah.
Get
Yeah.
one.
You're not a real fan.
I'm not a real fan until I get one.
But my big purchase was, and I'm really super excited for this one because it's another thing I can check off our holiday wish list. We're about halfway or over halfway through the year.
Yeah.
And it's like we're trying to get some stuff off. I mean, you got a big one off with Cloverfield.
You've been getting some big stuff. You shut up.
I got the Batra off the list. Did I get anything else? I got half of one. I did get the A.G. Tsuburaya glow in the dark autograph guy, but I haven't got the actual A.G. Tsuburaya. That's a little bit harder to find. And one of mine was just get more of the Marusan Bio-Gojis. I kind of did that.
Well, but what are you gonna do, Jay? What are you gonna do when Super 7 starts doing reaction of those Bio-Gojis? You're gonna have to. Can you imagine if they did all the same variants and you gotta, dude? You telling me that shelf you have of 37 different Bio-Gojis wouldn't be improved by the exact same figures 4 inches tall?
That would be cool. Yeah, I admit that would be something that would be hard to pass on. It's probably not. But one of the other ones that was high on my list, I think number 3 or 4, was from Toygraph, and it's a figure that you see a lot of collectors that we know that we're friends with on social media, that friends that we've interacted with a ton through the podcast, the YouTube, is the Toygraph, the Oxygen Destroyer 54 Godzilla with the skull face, if you will. So you have, Toygraph obviously does a great sculpt anyway. And then, so it's this beautiful black. I love it. But then the face is translucent vinyl and you can see the white skull in there and this glows in the dark. And it is just, it's a great figure. It really is. I mean, look at that face. He's just gorgeous. Absolutely adore this one. This is one that I can truly say I've wanted it from afar. I've never had it. I've never seen it live in person. It's always been through pictures and other people's, videos and unboxings. And I got it. And you always think in the back of your head for any collectible, especially ones that cost a little bit more than you normally pay for a collectible. Like, am I going to like it as much as I think I'm going to like it? And sometimes you feel like, oh, maybe I overpaid for this. I don't. I really, really absolutely adore this. It just became instantly one of my favorite pieces in the collection. Absolutely love it. And the cool thing is I don't have anything else like it. Like the closest thing with like the translucent face gimmick type thing is the Saru Jirushi 95 that I have. That's kind of the translucent one, but there's something more, I don't know, just impactful about this guy. And it's just, I feel like I've made it to a next level of collector by having him.
You have, dude. You've ascended. That's a beautiful figure. But it brings up a question. It makes me wonder if there ever, are there any like full Safubi figures of just Godzilla skeleton? I've seen like models before, and I've seen like
the Unraku and Saku.
Yeah, I've seen that, but I'm wondering if there are others that are just like straight up just Godzilla skeleton.
I'm not familiar. Like I said, the closest one I can think of is the Unraku and Saku, which obviously it's super stylized because chunky and stuff, and that's a real cool figure. I'm trying to think. I don't know. The other ones I've seen are more like kind of like you said, models or that. Or there's the small Gashapon type one they just released that glows in the dark, a little bit bigger than a Gashapon. But I don't know. I don't think so. I'm not familiar with any that were like realistic Safubi. The Unraku is the only one that I can think of off the top of my head. That doesn't mean they don't exist. I just
they might be out there. Jay, also that so the Simeon Safubi that you got. It brought back a memory of like when I saw that movie for the first time, and their faces change. I remember I was so excited because at the time I was like obsessed with Planet of the Apes for the first time. Like I'd seen Planet of the Apes for the first time. So when that showed up, I was like, Caesar's in fucking Godzilla. I was like a little kid, and I was like, what is happening? I was like, what is happening?
Who was the gorilla general? Is it Ursus?
Ursus, yeah.
He would totally just go to his troop. So cool. I agree. I love that. I love Planet of the Apes as well. I went through a big. Everybody goes through a Planet of the Apes phase, right?
I love it, dude. I love Planet of the Apes.
But the Simeon was a one I really wanted to have. Now, do I really want one with the helmet? Of course. because that helmet to me is like my favorite thing. That if I could cosplay as anything in Godzilla, it actually would be with the helmet.
Well, dude, cool. you got a couple weeks before Dragon Con.
Yeah, well, if they accept me, those bastards. That's the
Don't let them hear that. Cool, dude. I got no pickup, so I guess we can move on and talk about this movie if you want.
Yes, hey, you know what, Jake? This movie exists.
Yeah. I'm glad it does. It's definitely not the worst thing I've seen. It's not the worst thing you've made me watch. It was fun. Dude, like it is fun. It's got some cool moments in it. It does get really weird when all of a sudden this guy like smacks a woman in the face.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know. I was like, "Oh, this is a kids movie." The Daigoro looks like a big hippo. I was like, "It's very much like he's got a giant food bowl." It's so silly. And then he's got a fucking toilet. But then all of a sudden, this dude smacks a woman in the face. I was like, "What?
Yeah,
what is happening?"
Yeah, and that same character is also the one that like the ultimate payoff of him doing the ultimate good deed is just that he can drink more beer,
so he can get drunk. Yeah,
exactly.
He stops drinking for a little bit. He's like not drinking throughout the movie, and then at the end he's like, "Fuck it," and like ends with him getting drunk.
Yeah. The hero is a abuser of alcohol and
women,
domestic violence. Yeah, so it's like, but it's a kids movie. It
is otherwise. Yeah,
it is. I'm glad you watch it because I watched this, and I mentioned this on our podcast, the G Fest versus San Diego Comic-Con when they're like, I watch it just one night randomly because the in hotel room got all 24-hour a day tokusatsu that I was promised did not happen. So I watched it and I didn't remember a lot of the plot elements in it, to be honest with you. I rewatched it. I was like, oh my gosh, like it's nuts.
Well, listen, since we're talking about it, we can go ahead and talk about the plot elements. There's barely none. There's literally the plot is that Daigoro exists, lives on an island. We feed it we're feeding it. We're trying to take care of it.
We killed his mom.
Mad. He's mad. There's not enough food for him, but he's a growing boy. Yeah. You find out with a little bit of backstory, a little further into the film, that his mom was not such a good kaiju. We killed her. She left behind the baby. Baby tried to eat a man, which was great. I loved the baby Daigoro.
Yes,
and then basically the whole point of the movie is that like people try to raise money so they can keep feeding it because everybody loves it. And then Goliath shows up, dumbest looking kaiju I've ever seen. It's like tiny little head, big arms,
very like Red King style,
no neck. Yeah, and he's just like doing this. He has like I don't know if it was him or if it was Daigoro, but they reuse like King Kong's roar from Godzilla vs. Kong.
I don't know.
Unless this movie came out first. I don't know which one came out first.
No, this is 72. We have to talk like this is the 50th, screw Gigan. This is the 50th anniversary of Daigoro versus Goliath. Where's my
Godzilla Store exclusive?
Colors? Yeah, I know, right? Where's my Godzilla Store exclusive Daigoro's mom? I mean, come on.
Yeah, but Goliath shows up, and then they don't know how to defeat it. So basically, they're like, "Well, we're gonna have to teach Daigoro how to fight and make it big and strong, and we'll feed it." And then they teach him how to blow fire, and he fights it. And he I had to rewind the movie because I thought maybe something was wrong, or I was like, did I not pay attention?
Yeah,
because the battle is like Goliath shows up, Daigoro hits him with that flame breath once, and he's that's it. Done. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's all done. Let me tell you the problem. Let me tell you the problem I had with the movie. We get some backstory. This felt like this reminded me of Gamera the Brave. It's all cute. You got Gamera the Brave is like kind of cute. And then you get that
minus the alcohol and domestic abuse.
Sure. Yes, but then you get that flashback in Gamera the Brave of the older Gamera, and it's like terrifying.
Yeah.
So we get a flashback to Daigoro's mother, and I'm like, hold on.
Yeah.
Daigoro's mom looks amazing.
Yeah. She's ready.
I think shit up. Yeah, but I also think like that design of her, she doesn't look anything like Daigoro. Mm-hmm. She looked kind of badass. She kind of looks like she's got like a cat face.
Yeah,
has this beautiful mane of silver hair, and you don't see a lot. There's not a lot of kaiju with hair. I just thought, and she's barely in it, and she's got this one. There's like a shot of her where she kind of rears up like this, and I was like, what? Why didn't they use this for Goliath?
Yeah.
Like, use it for Goliath and like actually have the villain look scared. They could have used that dumb Goliath for Daigoro's mom, who's in the movie for less than a minute, maybe. Yeah. I was so annoyed with how cool Daigoro's mom is, and she's barely like use that for something else. That was my biggest issue. I thought she was awesome.
She was. I 100% agree. And whether it was for Daigoro or for Goliath, it would have been great. I agree. And no complaints from me or argument there. It's one of the coolest kaiju, like one of just the coolest looking kaiju. Not even cool. Just the film. Really cool.
No, go ahead.
I say you could definitely get from the kaiju the Tsuburaya vibes, because this was a co-production celebrating their 10-year anniversary with Toho, and you can 100% like see like that's Red King's body in Daigoro, and that you can kind of piece together that a very ultra kaiju feel to it, more so than a Toho film. Like, it didn't feel like this could be in Godzilla versus Gigan or Godzilla versus Hedorah or even Godzilla versus Megalon at that time, but it totally would feel like it could be something you'd see in Ultraman, Ultra 7, Return of Ultraman. So
for sure.
Yeah, I think that was the aesthetic that really
and I mean I completely understand and am fine with Daigoro looking dumb and silly, because it's supposed to look cute and it's a kid's movie. But it's like, man, if they would have made Goliath actually look cool, it would have kind of raised the stakes a little bit. But I'm going to jump around and tell you one thing that I really loved, and it's that at the end of the movie they just ship off Goliath attached to some rockets, because it's like I'm like,
very Ultraman-y. Yeah,
I'm like, he killed Goliath, but then it cuts and they're just like, bye, and he's like, rockets are I'm like, where are those rockets taking him? I thought that was so like, I laughed out loud at that. I thought it was
it made me think of like the Monster Graveyard episode in Ultraman where they take Siabozu and they put him in the rocket and shoot him off to space. It is hey, but at least it wasn't like the other Ultraman episodes where they shoot rockets in the butts of the kaijus. But
I don't mind that.
But no, you're right. That is the ending is a little anticlimactic, but then it's like, you think he's dead, and like I said, it could be worse. He could have bled out of his anus like Yongari, but they just shoot him off.
Poor Yongari.
But it's so funny. I think this film, I think it has two very like hit you over the head with a hammer type messages. It's like, the don't give up stuff is very obvious. It's not just the professor, the uncle, right? That does like
he's trying to raise money for Daigoro. He's
trying to find like that next great invention. His house is kind of like Pee-wee's from Pee-wee's Big Adventure type. Like you go in there, all that stuff, and he's something out of like an old Disney movie or something, right? I don't know. Like he's just wacky.
The movie starts with him trying to ride an aero bike. Trying to fly a bike.
And it's so silly, but like he obviously never gives up, right? He's like, I'm always gonna try. And then of course Daigoro, like, don't give up, Daigoro. You got to learn how to beat up this bully Goliath. And then you have like the you don't hear about it or you don't think about it until like they're very blatant about the whole environmental message. This is what we've turned everything into, And it's the scene where the villager, the farmer, whatever, is like they're talking to the kids, and like, I think it's about like do we like try to kill it with a bomb? And it's like, then there's, we've created this and there's nothing left. How much longer do we have on this planet and stuff? And it was so, I get it's a kid's movie. You got to be blatant sometimes get it across, but it was so funny that like I felt sometimes they shoehorned that last one in there. Just be like, oh shit, sure. Talk about the environment. Here, let's have this monologue.
Put some environment shit in there real quick. Yeah. Hey, this movie's only an hour and 15 minutes long. Put an environment speech in there. Make it an hour and 20.
I know, right? I love that. But it was cool seeing Captain Muramatsu from Ultraman in there is like the guy that like does not give a shit about Daigoro. He's like, no, we're gonna make him small. We're gonna put this growth hormone or a stunting growth hormone in there and stuff. And he's such an ass on that. But I thought it was great seeing him in there. But overall, like it was just bizarre. There just seemed to be so many, I don't even say competing storylines because that's giving it too much credit. But there's like I don't know if I'm supposed to like the fat guy that drinks the beer and stuff and that causes the fights, because I don't.
Yeah, I think you are. I think he's supposed to like him. He's got a lot of moments that are clearly supposed to be funny, and the music's silly, and it's big, and he's like making big movements, and I'm like, but yeah, the whole time you're just like, hey, this guy sucks. He's like, he literally the worst. He's worse than Goliath.
Oh yeah, he's the real villain. But then the uncle is like nice, and like you root for him, but then you have like the zookeeper that takes care of Daigoro, that like you would think he would be like the main guy, but like he has a little bit of screen time, right? But that's it. Like there's no he's just there with Captain Muramatsu. So I feel like that's weird. And then you have kids are kind of in it, but not. And it just is such a mess. It is, but it's a fun mess. And if you know what you're getting yourself into, and you can fast forward past a couple really questionable scenes, then it's good. Oh, you mentioned the music. When you said like the music is obviously
I loved the music, all the saxophone music. I loved it. I thought it was great.
So the opening thing when you go in there with that really kind of fun little music, that was actually Masato Shimon who did Punch 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 from Godzilla vs. Megalon.
Well, that's why I loved it. I knew subconsciously I was like, oh, I know this.
Yeah,
I thought it was the opening thing right off the bat. The opening theme, I was like, ooh, this is a saxophone. I was like, this is a saxophone just playing. I was like, I loved it, and they just kept using it the whole movie. I was like, music's very nice to listen to. Yeah, dude, I would say the same thing. Like the movies, it's definitely fun. It wasn't one of those movies that was like hard for me to sit through. No. It has enough weirdness and funny stuff in it to keep you going. Don't expect awesome kaiju knockouts, because there's basically no fighting in it.
The first fight is just Daigoro getting clubbed by the one guy in his giant forearms.
Yeah, and and also whenever Goliath shows up, he like attacks an area, and it's like clearly the exact same area that Daigoro's mom attacked in the flashback. It's just the same.
They rebuilt it back up. Exactly the same.
It's the exact same spot.
The human spirit got it back up. But and then I like, because it is a Tsuburaya co-production, that I love how they Ultraman, the show, exists within the confines of this story structure, because he's, when the uncle is like has his arms up, he's caught like dangling from the ceiling, he's like, look, Ultraman. That was cool. Nice little touch. I love it when there's like those random like crossovers, or they mention it at a show or whatever.
For sure.
So, I agree with you. I think everything you said is great. I think it's worthwhile. I think visually and the music make it an easy watch. Whether the storyline is for you, or you think it's too incoherent to be enjoyable, fair. But like, it's not one of those like, it's not stock footage. It's not just so boring. It's just, like I said, visually, like there's fun music and there's fun, different looking kaiju, like whether you like them or not. And it's very clear that it wants to be a kid's movie. And so I think you judge it by those standards pretty clearly. So overall, like I love it. I think it's I don't love it, I guess, but I enjoy it, and I'm glad I rewatched it.
I would buy a toy. I would buy a toy of Daigoro's mother, 100%.
And they have them.
Daigoro's mother.
So in Bullmark has vintage in '72. They released a Goliath, a Daigoro, and a Daigoro's mother. Then B Club, which is now defunct, but it was a subsidiary of Bandai. They did a lot. They got a lot of the rights to a lot of the Bullmark sculpts, and they re-released those. And then Marusan, I know, did a Daigoro, and so did. So I'm forgetting, somebody else did. Bear Model. Bear Model did one as well. But Daigoro's mom, you can go out there and you can get a Daigoro's mom sofa B, and even a vintage one if you want to. Wow. You can find a good one. Yeah, it looks great.
We're gonna look those up after the show, and maybe that'll be a future pickup. Jay, this movie's fine. It's fun, and also it's available on archive.org, and it's also just available on YouTube. You can just get on YouTube. And you can watch the whole thing. And whenever I actually ended up watching it on YouTube, and when you type it in, so the full movie is the first thing that comes up. And like the second video, which I meant to watch, maybe somebody listening made this video, but like the title was something like, it was like calling the movie stupid. It was like the stupid, and I was just like, oh, I need to watch this. And I just ended up not being able to, but
well, it's cool that we can have access to it, because this is one of the few Toho movies that never to this day has had an official like US release. There's not physical media you can go and buy this. It's in like, region 1 or whatever, region 3. Like, so I'm glad that people can get it.
Dude,
and it was, and it was Tsuburaya's first non-Ultraman film that they did. So like there's some cool stuff around it. But yeah, at least it does exist.
Somebody better call up. The name is missing. What's the name of that company that's been putting out all the old kaiju films on VHS?
SRS.
Somebody better call SRS. Get this movie released, man. Hey, I'd buy this on VHS if anybody put it out. I'd buy it.
Oh, the cover art's going to be great,
dude.
But
get Matt
Frank
Frank on it immediately.
I know, right? The reason I really wanted you to watch this, and we haven't talked about this. So this is going to be something that's just going to blow your mind. I really feel it. It's really cool. I wanted you to watch this because I wanted to talk to you about the what if around this movie. These are what I'm excited about. Yeah. So now the plans and everything about what it was going to be exists. Like this is not like conjecture, but whether it was supposed to be before or after Daigoro versus Goliath is what's kind of up for debate. Like, was Daigoro versus Goliath supposed to be this, or was this what they were going to reuse some of the elements in Daigoro versus Goliath to do like a follow up? The prevailing opinion, not saying it's correct, the one that I kind of believe was originally it was supposed to be this. You'll see why there probably was a little bit of apprehension or cold feet, and that turned into Daigoro versus Goliath. Okay. So, like I mentioned, this is Toho. This is Tsuburaya. For the 10th anniversary of Tsuburaya, obviously Toho, with the connectivity between the legacy of Eiji Tsuburaya, wanted to do something big. There were plans. It was written by Tetsuo Kinjo, who did a lot of the Ultraman episodes. Godzilla versus Red Moon. Now, the plot of so ignore Godzilla for a second. We know he has his suit. The plot of this movie is also out there, and it is freaking amazing. So the story was an alien comes down from the moon, from the planet, from outer space, and it's just dubbed Red Moon. It comes down. At the same time, another monster kaiju appears on Earth, and it's dubbed Erebus. And so you have Red Moon and Erebus. Now, those could easily be Daigoro's mom, Goliath, two big bad monster kaijus, right?
Right.
So they're going to meet, and they're like, oh gosh, they were sent to destroy each other. Turns out they are male and female of the same species. So they actually mate and have a baby. And then they're like, holy cow, what's going on? So, of course, with a baby monster, there's going to be a greedy, entrepreneurial guy that wants to take it and make it an attraction. Well, as they try to capture it and do that, they kill it. So they kill Halfoon is his name. Yeah. And so mommy and daddy go berserk. And the only way that they can stop it is to call Godzilla to stop these two rampaging mom and dad monster. And that is the battle, so to speak. That's the plot, is like Godzilla versus, let's think of it as Godzilla, kind of representing Toho, versus these two very ultra kaiju-like monsters of Daigoro's mom and Goliath, right? Thinking the baby Daigoro dies. That's what it was supposed to be, or could have been, and the suit designs totally make sense. I mean, it's 3 and 3, and they're probably like, you know what, we probably don't want to put Godzilla in this, and so then that eventually morphed into what we got with.
But that's so weird. That's so weird because that plot line sounds so much more serious. And like that sounds like that's such a cool. The concept of two really scary monsters showing up and people being like, "Oh my god, there's about to be a huge battle," but then they mate. Yeah, that seems like it could be terrifying, but also like a really funny moment. Yeah, but like I want to see that. I feel like Godzilla versus Red Moon is something it sounds familiar to me. Yeah. I don't know if they talk about it in the Godzilla encyclopedia, because there's a section of that has a lot of, I wonder if they talk about it in there, because Red Moon sounds very familiar to me.
And I think Red Moon was the female. I know like one gets spared, but the other cool thing is like that Godzilla spares maybe the mom, I'm assuming, but it's supposed to take all like place in Okinawa. So this would have been 2 years before Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. We know obviously King Caesar has kind of the Okinawa guardian. So like, what if that happened and then, Erebus, or I guess Red Moon was one from the outer space, so it wouldn't work. But like, then you have Okinawa. Does King Caesar happen then? Because do they want to double down 2 years later in Okinawa again? I don't know.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of things that could have been like the what ifs and happened, but I just feel like Godzilla versus Red Moon is so, to your point, it's so different. And the story is just different from anything else that Godzilla did at the time. Like him to bring in to stop two sad parents who had their, baby killed by the humans. Like
Godzilla is definitely the bad guy in that.
Yeah,
well,
he's
humanity is the bad guy, but like you would root for those parents. Man, I'd rather see that. It feels like maybe it was the kind of thing where they were putting all this time and energy into trying to make that happen, and then when they realized that it wasn't the best way to go, it feels like the kind of thing where maybe the wind was out of their sails, and they were like, all right, well, let's just turn it into a kids movie. Because it's nothing like what that sounds like.
No, not at all. And I think that was like to me, it's like the shocking thing. It's like they had the suits, and they're like, that's the only thing they kept from it. Right? They're like,
yeah.
And
it would have been, a story like that would be much better if there were, because come on, the Goliath suit's awful.
Yeah,
if they could do that movie with maybe some better looking kaiju, I'd be into that, dude. That's a good
Godzilla against Daigoro's mother would be great. And it's not uncommon to see Godzilla against to see Ultraman against the Godzilla, but like to see Godzilla because with like Jiros and stuff, like he fights Ultraman,
right? But
like to see it against another Ultra Kaiju would kind of be cool and unique.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting. But yeah, I think there's tons of room for improvement on the design of Goliath. 100%.
Sure.
It seems like it was a slap it together and throw it out there. Like he looks mean, the end, but you're not too scary. But yeah.
Not at all. I do feel that there was some weird choices made with the decisions. Maybe they were like, well, this one has long hair. It's the mother, but I don't know. I much rather would see Red Moon. That sounds awesome. And also like Godzilla versus Red Moon is just a
cool title.
That just sounds cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially like in the 70s with like, cause the music would be cool. And like this would, just think about it. This would be like either right after Godzilla versus Gigan and before Megalon, like in that, think about that kind of vibe.
Yeah, that era. Yeah.
It would be amazing.
Dude, that was a fun little what if. I was excited to hear. I purposely didn't look up too much about the movie because you told me that there was a cool what if behind it. But I will say I definitely recommend anybody watch this movie if you got an hour and a half. It's short. It's like
not even right. It's like an hour and 15 minutes, right? It's very
something
short.
Like that. It is very short. I think like an hour and 20 maybe. But I don't know. Is there anything else to say about this movie?
No, I think we probably talked about it more than anybody's ever talked about it.
Ever. including the people who made it, exactly.
Probably for sure that one. But no, I think we got to go find some of the toys, and I do like people go check them out because they're out there and they're really cool looking. The Marusan Daigoro is really cool. I dig it, but the vintage ones are awesome because, like I said, you get Daigoro's mom.
Yeah. Well, Jay, I think that might be it on this one. Unless you have anything else kaiju related to say,
no.
I think we did it.
No, and maybe Godzilla versus Red Moon will happen, and Kurt Russell will be in it.
Hey, I'm for it, man. More Godzilla movies all around. I want to see more. I really want. I want to get back into the swing of thing. I'm excited. I want this Kong cartoon to hit Netflix.
Forget about that. Yeah.
I want a season 2 of Singular Point. I want more of everything. And I'm excited we live in 2022 where Godzilla's kind of everywhere right now. Yeah. But other than that, I think that's it. Guys, thanks for joining us. Hey, please check out, I know we talked about it last time, but we did move over to a new channel. If you're watching this, it's in a new space. Yeah, you probably already know, but if you haven't, Please subscribe. Please share it. We need to get those. We want to get those numbers back up and get all our subscribers to resubscribe to the new channel. Go check out the Twitter feed, YHS Monster Pod. I know we don't tweet as much, but still, dude, go just check it out. I think that's it. I think we'll see you guys later.